Howdy. Welcome to the NooK on the Voluntary Virtues Network. I'm Steve. I'm here with Mike.
Yo.
Christy. Pamela.
Hello.
And Matt.
Cheers.
Mike, what are you drinking tonight?
Six Rivers Brewery. I didn't check to see where they're from, but they're not from San Diego, to the best of my knowledge. It's IPA. It's pretty good.
Blasphemy.
Yeah.
Drinking a non-San Diego craft beer.
Not a local one.
I want to see where it's from.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not the best IPA I've ever had. Not really. You can't really taste the hops in there really well, but it's not.
McKinleyville, California.
Okay.
I don't know where that is.
That's got to be up north. If it sounds unfamiliar, it's way up
right?
north.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So there's that.
Have you guys always done San Diego beers?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was just
All right. Just
being
craft
facetious.
Just the other ones suck.
Okay. Pamela, you're the only one that has a beer.
This is not San Diegan either.
Uh-oh.
Dun,
I believe
dun,
it's
dun.
the Kona Kai.
What are
Big
we
Wave.
doing?
I know.
Yes.
I don't know.
What are you drinking?
That's what happens when John's not here.
I'm drinking isogenic psionics. Lots of herbs and good stuff. See.
Coffee and liquor for me tonight.
What kind of liquor is it?
I believe there's Bailey's and then some sort of schnapps. I don't know, but it's liquor.
Not the
what-
homemade moonshine.
What's the beer
Oh,
you're
man.
drinking though?
It's Big
Kona,
Wave. Kona
Big
Kai.
Wave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kona.
I didn't hear that. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a heavy subject, abortion. Well, it's fairly controversial topic, I think, and it's one we haven't covered yet. I'm sure everybody is going to want to leave a comment about how we're totally right on, or how they want to burn our house down, or
We're
something.
gonna burn in hell for eternity or whatever.
Or we're horrible
Yeah,
monsters or something. Yeah.
I don't have, honestly, a strong opinion either anyway on the discussion. I think though that if you're somebody, I think most abortions are done under the auspices of, unwanted pregnancies, that the parents can't take care of the child for whatever reason. And if you're one of those people who find it morally reprehensible to get an abortion, you should try to help these people meet whatever needs that they need met in order to, if they're willing to not abort their child or whatever. I think empathy is a big I think empathy is sorely missing in the conversation. Empathy for everyone involved. And I think if you approach it from an empathetic point of view, trying to help people rather than condemning them for whatever action they are. And I think that goes for most action that we want to take. That we want to take. If we look at it empathetically, that's the ultimate.
Moral.
I'm sorry?
And even when you're doing that, that will help a lot. There are also factors you're never gonna know in someone's mind.
Yeah.
Things that have happened in their past that they may not. There is really none of your business.
Whether it's outlawed completely or we have
It's gonna happen.
some kind of private arbitration that goes after these people or vigilantes or whatever, you're never going to eliminate abortion, I don't think. I think
Oh, I don't think so either.
through technology and through greater technology, we can eliminate a lot of it. For instance, with the advances in artificial wombs and things like that. But I don't think that you could ever fully eliminate
How
it.
does that support abortion, though?
What do you mean?
You could take
No,
the
he's
baby
saying-
out of the one
So it
womb
doesn't
and
have
put
to
it
die.
into
If
So,
it were
yeah,
possible
yeah.
to create an artificial
Yeah.
womb, which they are
Right.
close to, they claim. If a woman did abort a baby, they could still keep it alive
Right.
and adopt it out or whatever. It would be a...
Then it wouldn't have
could be
to
a possibility.
die.
We're not
Right.
at that point, though.
Right.
Nec-
So that would be
necessarily.
an option for a woman who's
Right.
choosing to make another choice.
Well, I guess my perception of it is I don't really have a lot to say about it because I think as we were talking about before the show, I think it's better for the women to speak on it more than I think the men.
Well, but I don't know. But
it does-
bringing that up. Let's say your girlfriend
Well,
had your child,
that's
okay, and
what
then
I'm-
she wanted to abort it, and you didn't want her to.
Well, see, that's
what? I mean, I think there's.
That's what I was gonna bring up of a sense is to my personal experience with abortion was I was in a at the time a very healthy relationship with an ex-girlfriend, and she got pregnant, obviously mine, and I didn't want to have the child. She was kind of up in the air about it. It caused some conflict. She ended up not, obviously nothing physical because, neither one of us were, aggressive like that. But she ended up getting an abortion, and more or less it was the cause, or at least the major cause of our breakup. So, that's the thing about it is that because it's such a heavy issue, that it will, it does drive a wedge through a lot of people in society in general. That's why, you've got, you have protests outside abortion clinics, and you have, horrible situations in the past where, if the decision to have an abortion was made, you're having to go to, like literally a back alley somewhere and, do, what more or less was practically experimental procedures,
So women don't have to do that now.
Yeah, and that's
anymore,
it, and
though.
that's the
So
thing.
right now, women have the freedom to do what they want.
Yeah,
If
and
you're not a
that's
woman and you're a teenager,
yeah, and that's
They can't.
and
They
you're
can't.
don't they need parental consent?
Not
in-
even- not
it
yet.
depends on the
They
state, I
wanted
think.
to do
Yeah,
it,
it depends
but
on the
I
state.
don't think they have to yet. Yeah.
yeah. I think I'm gonna say in California. Don't quote me on this because I'm probably gonna be wrong. Even though we're already gonna have a whole bunch of gnarly
16,
comments,
right?
anyways.
Like 16.
Yeah, 16 in
Whatever.
California. A girl can get a.
Because I do know somebody who had one under 18. And
Yeah,
I don't
and-
believe there was any sort of parental.
Yeah,
So
so
it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. I think eventually in time the mindset of people will change. And one part of that would be when you go into relationships with somebody before you become physically intimate with them, you have those conversations.
yeah.
Because it's always a possibility, whether you
Right.
take precautions or not.
Uh-huh.
So
It's
For
very
sure.
Just
important.
about-
Yeah. To have the conversation about do you want kids before.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And if this happens, how would you handle it?
And believe you me, that has stopped a number of relationships before they even started. That's
And
one of
that's
those
probably not a
conversations.
bad thing.
It's not.
a
It
hell of
wasn't.
a
But
lot
at the same
better
time,
than-
like it's kind of a bummer. You're talking to somebody and you're just like, yeah, I don't want kids, and then she does, and you're like, well, you practically want to shake hands and say, have a good day. And like, well,
That's what you should do.
yeah.
Yes, you should have
Yeah.
a list. Yeah.
It's certainly better than her
Getting an argument.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
somebody
Okay.
poking holes in condoms or
Yeah. Because
Something
apparently
like
Well,
that.
that still could happen after. I mean, you can't control that.
Yeah.
But more than likely, if you're going to have that kind of a relationship or that
but I
kind
mean
of conversation,
what I'm saying
you're
is it's
going
better to have the conversation before than
Yeah, of course, for sure.
Right.
yeah, sadly too, children can be used a lot of times for control.
As collateral, yes. I know
Yeah.
all about that.
I've known a few people who've had that situation. And I don't know. Like for instance, suppose you got your girlfriend pregnant
Right.
and you didn't want the child, but she had it anyway,
Right.
and now you're on the hook for child support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you didn't have that conversation before, and
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, well, I'm questioning even the
the forcing-
morality
the
of
forcing-
forced
forced
child support, though.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because if a woman has the right to decide whether that baby comes into existence,
But that's
shouldn't the man have the right to
But that's why you
control whether or not he's in that child's life and supports it?
Then don't have
But
sex.
that's why you have the conversation
right.
beforehand.
Well, I guess he's just saying if you haven't had that conversation, because
That's
think
good.
about even if she does decide how that's going to affect the child, knowing it's growing up and its father didn't want children,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's why it's
And I
just
mean,
such a deep topic.
Of
It
course,
covers
cases
so
of
many
rape
areas.
are another issue.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is I think it really comes down to it is the person's body, and they have
Yeah.
full control over it. They have every right to say what happens to their body.
And we're mentioning the motivation, or maybe malicious motivation to have a child might be like child support or something like that. Let's say that's something different, because to me that's something that the government has done. That's not normal social situation of, okay, so do you want the responsibility of being a parent or not? Now, the additional layer is, well, okay, so she wants to keep the child, but why? That's if that is, I mean, that's a genuine motivating factor of some women. Very rare, but unfortunately common enough to kind of be a thing.
So that they get child support from the government?
Yeah,
Oh, we were
know.
talking
They
about
get
that
Yeah, we were
earlier.
talking about that earlier. That
Women who
that,
continue to
that
have
that
children
it's
and
not
live off the
even
state.
necessarily, in the forefront of their head of like, this is my motivating factor for having
No,
the
I don't
child.
think it is on the-
But they do know somewhere in the back of their head, whether they want to admit it or not, that if they're not married, even if they have a happy relationship with the father, they can still collect child support. So
Child support or money from the government?
child support and money from the government
Right.
too. Yeah, they both of it. If you're not married, a woman can get the WIC stuff and.
Well, that's you get that regardless.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're married, that's kind of like you have to prove that both of you aren't making enough to provide for the child. Whereas if you're not married, if the woman isn't married to the man, then all she has to say is like, "Oh, I'm single." She doesn't have to prove that. From last I checked, I don't know if maybe something's changed on that, but
Long
yeah,
time since I had kids.
it's
Well, I
pretty
think
wild.
if she's on a marriage certificate that
Yeah.
she couldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing, is that like there's also a strange motivating factor to not get married. I'm not the biggest fan of marriage myself, but it's kind of a weird thing. So you're not supposed to have that at least traditional sort of family construct, because there's that additional sort of like government, like, oh, hey, if we don't get married, then guess what? We get more bennies. So yeah.
So I know we all have the belief that women have the right to their bodies, but let's look at it from the perspective of somebody who believes that it's a life form. And that, if we believe in not killing people, what's the difference? I'm trying, and I don't have this perspective, other than I wouldn't do it in a late term. That's just me. I've never had one, but I think I wouldn't. I've not been put in that position, so I don't think I would. But I'm just trying to look at it from the perspective of people who are lifers and who believe, a life is a life, regardless of whether it's outside or inside.
So I guess the what I would respond to that with would be something like, are they conscious or not? I think that's the biggest thing. Are you killing something that is conscious and knows it's feeling pain and same thing with animals. If you're killing an intelligent animal, it is taking life of something that knows it's in pain, knows all this. Now I couldn't tell you. I'm not a neuroscientist. I couldn't tell you.
I don't know either.
But I know that I don't remember anything before I was like, I don't know, 3, 4.
Yeah.
That's just my perspective.
But that doesn't mean you weren't conscious of things.
Yeah, no,
before then.
absolutely. I may have not had the ability to store the memories properly. They may be in there and I just can't get to them. But I think that is a factor. Does it know?
Well, and the question becomes too: can you be conscious without memory? You could still be
Sure,
conscious
you
in
can
the
be aware,
moment
but you're
without memory.
It's not storing it. Yeah.
Right.
You're not you don't
I
really
think
know what
I
it
think
means.
something does fundamentally change when you're about 4 years old, though, as far as that's concerned, which is why most people's memories are start around
No.
3 or 4.
So is it okay then to kill
But-
babies up to 4 years old?
I would
mean,
obviously not say
I'm just,
that.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that.
No, we're not Greeks and exposing children on the mountainside.
Yes,
Yeah.
No, but I'm trying to understand their perspective, because in that realm, then it would be okay to kill a baby
like
up to 4 years old because they're not conscious.
Are you killing a baby?
Well,
or
then
let's
there's-
Well, no,
let's
I
choose
mean-
the words. Are you terminating pregnancy? That's the
I,
language.
Well,
I
he's
guess as we
talking
were talking
specifically after
earlier,
they've been born.
if
After
something
they're born,
came out
okay.
of me and it could
And
live,
it's not aware. Yeah,
it-
exactly.
it could live.
What it's
That's and I'm starving it to death, or I mean, it could actually live if I fed it,
exactly.
or you know.
or somebody else took care of
But
it.
Right,
are you
somebody else took care of
required?
it.
Are you required to provide resources for the child just because it's
Morally,
it's not
morally, yes.
able to fend for itself?
So what about?
I would
a
have to find
situation-
somebody to do it if I couldn't do it. Morally, I would.
What about a
say.
situation
Why-
when you've
why do
got
you think?
a woman? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Like on crack or something that's pregnant and doesn't want to terminate the pregnancy, but abuses her body, and you sit back and you watch that, and you know that child's going to be born with many health problems, mental, psychological.
That's what community's for. I don't know. I mean, that is a.
I
Yeah.
mean, just look at it from that
But I
side.
couldn't.
Where it
Yeah,
would
I
probably be
couldn't
the best
tell
thing.
her to have an abortion. But
of course not. But I'm just
you
saying,
know,
I
what if you're in
know.
that situation?
Yeah, I know.
I would say all the people who are interested in kids, and those who are looking and just interested in helping kids like that. Hopefully, there's
Yeah.
enough of them. I mean, of course, you can't force anybody to do it. But I do think the moral thing would be to try to find somebody to take care of it, and if anybody's willing to. But I mean, you can't, of course, can't force anybody.
That would definitely be, probably, I think in the long run, a healthier way, to not necessarily solve the problem, but help the situation. Well, okay, so the man doesn't want to have the child, the woman does. Maybe, some sort of compromise would be like, well, this. If say his argument is something like, well, we can't afford this, we're not in the right situation in our life, adoption, or a family that can't have children, that might be, that's an option. With me, obviously secondhand, because I was.
Well, and it'd be a lot easier without the government too.
Yeah,
Or
but
being robbed and having, majority of our wealth not stolen from us. Yeah, that'd be
Well,
great.
not just that, but it costs somewhere around $100,000 to adopt a child,
Yeah.
and that's before you get the child.
Is it really?
That's like processing fees and shit like that. So.
It's definitely become a business.
I want to get back to this idea that you're morally obligated to take care of the child, though. Because
I
if you're
feel like
morally
I am.
obligated to take
I
care of the
feel
child
like I
after
am.
it's born, why are you not morally obligated to take care of the child before it's born?
I am morally obligated to take care of it before it's born. It's in my body.
If you're morally obligated to take care of it before it's born, then it's wrong to have an abortion.
I mean,
Well,
that was the conflict that,
but for
sorry,
me, there's a certain point, and this is just me. This is my body. This is the rules I made up for me. If I did not make my decision in a timely manner, which it was a zygote, like this little thing that really, in my mind, was okay to abort. If it actually grew into something that could live beyond outside, it was my responsibility to take care of that.
So for
That's
you,
just for
that's
me.
the mark is
It could live outside, yes.
Viably
Yes.
without you.
Yes.
And what
That's-
is that?
that's for
usually?
me.
So why
Is it that
isn't
much? I don't know.
why
It's
so
gotta
why
be. Those are
isn't
developed in what?
so
the
why
7th
isn't
month?
why isn't that the case when it's still in your body then? Because it's
Well, it is.
Feeding
It's
off
depe-
of me, it's
if
feeding
it's
off of me.
it's dependent on you while it's in your body, and then when it comes out, it's still dependent on you. It's just not in your body. So how is
I
that
guess
different?
It's the size. I don't know. I guess it's easier to kill a bug than it is. I don't know. I mean,
mean,
really, that's
well, that-
really.
that's what I
it
think I'm
is.
trying
It's
to
just-
get down to
Yeah,
is
it's like it's
what-
easier to
what
kill
is the
something
logic-
smaller. I don't know.
What is the logic behind the idea is what I'm trying to get to. Because if you just say, well, I feel like Mike's not a person, so I get to kill him.
Well,
You know what I'm
spiritually,
saying?
I'm okay because with it all because we hit the reset button all the time anyway. So it's this
So it's
is not
okay
a spirit.
for me to
Yes,
kill you.
exactly.
Be careful of Christy.
Yeah.
Be careful around Christy.
Keep your eyes open at night.
but in this game that we're playing here with morality and all that, I just I don't know. It just
Because I think that's a fundamental question on here. I believe that you are not morally obligated to take care of somebody just because they can't take care of themselves.
But if they came out of me, yes, I am. I feel responsible for something that comes out of me.
But not while it's in you.
No, I feel responsible for why it's in me. You don't think I do? What? Okay, where am I going wrong here?
Well, you're saying it would be okay to abort as long as it wasn't viable outside of you.
Right, a little psycho, like whatever, was not viable. If I took it out of me and placed it here and fed
And
it
somebody else
with
took
water,
care of it, or
well,
somebody who was-
currently.
But the other thing is that
But whether the
They got
nutrients
full.
come from an umbilical cord or you feed it to them, how is there a difference? It's still dependent on you, whether it's inside your body or outside your body.
But now
So
it's
that's what I'm
outside
trying to
and
get
it
to.
can't
Well-
live. Now it's outside.
here-
In my
well,
body it could live, but
I'd say
outside
the-
it can't.
I'd say
Right,
the
so-
difference is,
So
I'd say the difference is-
a child who can live outside of you would
But-
still die without your resources.
But that's not necessarily true because somebody else could help the child.
Yeah, somebody
That's
else
true.
could help.
So I'd say the difference would be that in one case she is being forced to provide it with nutrients.
Right.
So she's saying she can't kill it if.
But she's saying that she has a moral obligation to take care of the child. So if she has
Well,
a
at
moral
least
obligation
find-
to take care of it outside the womb, why doesn't she have a moral obligation to take care of it inside the womb?
But I
She said she
do,
does.
but there's that line
gray
in which
area.
I would allow it to not be in my body. See, it smushed the bug. See, it's so small. It smushed it.
It's a creature.
We didn't even care.
She's saying
I
if it's forced to survive solely on her, then it is okay to terminate. If it could be provided and taken care of by somebody else who is willing, then it's okay.
but
Or you can't kill it in that point, right?
Correct.
but what complicates it
Suppose
even
you're out in
more-
the middle of nowhere and you have this child with you. It's okay to kill it if you're the only one who can take care of it?
How old?
It's young enough that it can't fend for itself. 6 months.
If let's say it is if somebody was capable with current technology, they could take care of it. But you're in the middle of nowhere, so that's not possible.
No.
What?
So,
I
so
would try. I would want to take care of
say-
it
well,
if it's like a
if-
toddler that can't
if
take care
if
of
it could be
themselves.
removed and somebody else could take care of it adequately, but that is not possible at this point. I mean, this is definitely.
No, I'm saying if the measure is that you're being held hostage essentially by the fetus, how is that different if there's nobody else around you to take care of the child?
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get at.
That's what I'm
missed
saying.
it.
Sweet.
So I
I'm
missed it
saying,
totally.
how is it different
Yeah.
Dude.
to be
It
held
isn't different.
hostage?
It isn't.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So how is it right to kill the fetus before it's born, but not after?
It's not.
Well, I think
It's all personal choice.
we were talking about viability, and with me when I was in that situation, again secondhand, because I obviously don't have the equipment, but for me, like, my conflict was, well, okay, so what do we, what is viable, what is the date? My situation, to like elaborate a little bit more on it, was that was nowhere near what would be considered viable. But in my head, it was there was stress involved in it with what is viable, because for me, like, I was born super premature. Like, I was like, doctors like, he ain't gonna make it. Like, that was the thing. I had like tubes coming out of my head and all this sort of stuff. Like, no, there's pictures of it. Yeah. So for me, what was viable was like, well, that's kind of fungible. Not fungible. That's not the right word. But okay. So what's viable?
How premature were you?
I was born at 5.5 months. So like that's the thing when they're just all like, oh well,
Wow.
viable is like here.
And-
I'm thinking like, no, I was
Wow.
before there, so and I made it. So
And
like
20
that
years
was,
ago, that was
Wow.
so that's the thing that like that was something that was like racking around in my head, like me and the woman I was with at the time, it was like I was trying not to be impatient and not force a decision on her, but in my head I'm thinking like, no, what is viable to me is kind of that's
Your life.
a
Yeah.
big gray line
there is a gray area.
yeah.
Which is getting earlier and earlier as technology progresses.
Yeah.
I mean, at some
Um,
point they say they should be able to completely grow
Yeah.
a baby in an external womb.
And they're saying within
but is that the way to look
as
at it?
early as like
I don't know.
2020,
I don't know.
I was hearing.
But what would we do? Would then people would adopt the little babies?
Yeah,
I
are
mean,
opinions of
that's-
abortion going to change 50 years later because technology allows
could.
children to be born earlier?
But it could.
Well, no,
You have another
question is-
choice. You have
Well-
a different choice.
Well,
They
see,
could take
to
the
me the
growing
question
baby and
is,
put it in a-
you have two
I mean, who's going to actually
You have
take care
two-
of it? That's the problem.
you have two
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
involved essentially. You have the woman and the baby, and the woman is entitled to her body and her resources, and I don't think that anyone is morally obligated to provide resources to anyone else, regardless of need.
And I don't think
Maybe you should anyway.
well, I was just going to
but
say,
you're
I'm not going to impose my moral judgment
Right.
on it.
The whole thing is
So,
forced.
so what I'm saying,
I might think it's.
so what I'm saying is if there's a fetus essentially lives off the mother's body while it's in the womb, so evicting it, so to speak,
Would be forced.
would not be wrong.
Force,
Isn't
right?
that force?
It wouldn't be wrong necessarily.
Could you view it as force or not?
Yeah.
If somebody was living in your house, living off of your things,
Yeah, but you
and
had
you
a part
evicted
in it,
them,
but
how would that?
you had a
That's
part-
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
You
could
created
it,
them
okay, so
That's
who
another good point as well, though.
I guess it would be
But
who initiated the force.
Yeah.
If it's, I mean, really who initiated the force? Is that thing a being? Can you say it can initiate force? Can
if
you,
it
you
can't initiate force, is it a problem to abort it?
Exactly. If it can initiate force, and can you initiate force against it? Is it even an initiation of force if it's not truly conscious?
It's
There's a lot
only
of-
it's only an initiation of force once you decide that you don't want it, though. Because while you're willing to let this thing live inside of you, it's not force because you're willingly giving your body to this but it's not until you decide I don't want this thing inside me anymore that that would become force, right?
So did the baby or did the fetus, whatever you want to call it, did that initiate force? Did the sperm initiate force
But
against
did
the
life?
egg?
Did,
breaking in?
did
Did,
life?
um,
Did
trespassing.
life initiate
Was the sperm like, I'm coming in? Was it a demand?
Suppose we let Mike into the house though. like he'll probably come over tonight after this thing is over.
Yeah.
We let him in and then he just doesn't want to leave. Is it at what point?
And start replicating myself. I start doubling.
But Mike came in of his own accord. You created that inness in my body. If we did.
Well, the woman's egg was already there. The
This is
sperm
true.
swam
Yeah,
in.
right.
And did he force his way in? Did the egg open the door?
Yeah, but it's not like Mike staying over because he wanted to stay over.
I
It's a
see where you're
little
going with
different.
that,
Right.
Stephen.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
I understand what you're saying.
A penis shot Mike into their house.
Because that's technically how it
Penis
happened,
can't.
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
So I got a question though. If you had a robot prostitute equipped with an artificial womb and it was sentient, could it be found, or would it be wrong for him to then abort, for the robot to abort the fetus?
why-
Can
in
you
there?
take
Why
the
would
artificial
you-
womb out and put a new one in?
Why would you have
Like
a
some
womb?
sort of Matrix baby effect?
Why would you create a problem when there is
future
no
is
problem with the
terrifying.
robot?
Exactly.
Can we just not
If the robot is sentient, it can put it in itself.
Yeah,
Does the womb have an on-off switch on it?
that would be weird.
Oh, hold on, guys, we're out of time.
Well, yeah, robot sex next week. Yeah. or sometime.
Yeah, we will get back to robot sex.
We can't promise it's next week. We can never promise it's next week. That's a little bit too hard.
Good night.
We'll try to get to it next week.
The robot-
Have a good night.
Good night.
Take care.